Hey guys, so I'm going to show you how you can use real food to give your dog their pill. I, for many years now, have had to give my dog Ruby her epilepsy medication. She takes it twice a day. And over the years, I've just developed many more ways to give her pills using real food rather than buying the pre-made treats that are available at vet offices or in the pet stores that get very expensive. And if you look at the back package at the ingredients, I made a decision a while ago to no longer use those just because I wanted to make sure I wasn't giving her anything that wasn't good for her. So I'm going to show you today how I use chicken breasts to give her pills. And it's very simple, it's very easy to do. I'm gonna do a series of different foods that you can use. Your dog may love this, your dog may not like it, but for the dog owners that have to give pills on a daily basis, maybe even multiple times throughout the day, it's nice to have other options in your back pocket if all of a sudden what you were using isn't working anymore. So let me show you how I do this. It's very simple. The nice thing about it is I often will plan making the chicken breast for her pills around the time that I also want to have chicken for dinner. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone and is an efficient way to do some planning and grocery shopping as well. So with my journey with Ruby and her epilepsy, I definitely continue to learn. I'm not an expert, but I do want to share what has worked for me, and as I've learned with Ruby, what works for her. And so I'm hoping that this can help. At least, even if it helps one or two people, just give them another idea of what they can use. You don't have to rely on those pre-made pill treats that are available that you can buy in the green package. That can be very expensive and might not be the best for your dog. So this is just another option that you can use to try. So let me show you what I do. It's super simple. There might be other ways to also make the chicken. I bake it just so I make sure that the chicken stays together, and I can cut nice chunks of it to then put the pills. I can also then size the chunk that I'm making based on the size of the pill that I'm giving her. So for instance, right now, Ruby takes small round tablets for her medication. She's on phenobarbital. And then also right now she happens to also be on a probiotic that is a larger size capsule. So I've been able to use the chicken to meet both of the needs of these sizes. So the small tablet and the larger capsule size. So I'll show you how I go about doing that. But first I'm gonna preheat the oven to 350. So while the oven is preheating, what I do is I like to make things as easy as possible. So I use some aluminum foil, easy cleanup. Just go ahead and put that in there, covering the dish. So for the chicken breast, I typically like to have it on hand, just so I try to rotate through what I'm using to give Ruby her pills. I want to make sure, luckily, she is a very food motivated dog. So in that respect, I'm lucky because I know that that's not the case for all owners that have to go through this. But I don't want her to get used to taking something or all of a sudden discover that there's a pill in there and that she doesn't want it anymore. So I try to mix it up at least, if not daily, at least each week I do something a little bit different. And so that's what I'm going to be showing in my videos, is just the different things that I'm doing to create a food treat that you can easily hide that pill in. So I just am gonna go ahead. You're not gonna use any oils, no seasonings. This is just straight chicken breast into the pan. So it looks like that. I'm gonna go ahead, once the oven is preheated, get this in there, and then I will be back to show you how I actually cut the chicken into chunks, and then it's easy for me to slip a pill in for her. Okay, oven is now preheated to 350 degrees. You can see we have a little friend who knows exactly what I'm doing. This is Ruby, and she's ready for her chicken. She usually hangs around with me in the kitchen whenever I am doing any sort of cooking and is ready to taste test. So I'm gonna be putting the chicken in to the oven for 350 degrees for 30 minutes. Okay, so the chicken is now cooked and I've let it fully cool. You wanna make sure that that chicken has completely cooled down, that you're not using chicken right out of the oven. That would not be good. So what I'm gonna do now is show you what I use, or how I use the chicken breast then to create a pill treat for the dog. What you're gonna do is take the chicken breast. And so what I do is I try to find the fattier end. So I usually use, for the pill treats, everything up to about this point of the chicken here. This is just a nice little fun treat for her. But what I do is I will take about a chunk off like that. And I'm gonna show you how I make two different sizes for Ruby based on what I'm giving to her. So I usually cut off the little end. That's just a little extra fun treat that she's gonna get. I then take this bigger chunk and I cut it in half. Now, the first size that I'm gonna show for you, this is not her actual medication because the phenobarbital, that's like gold and I don't wanna waste it. It's not time for her to actually get it. So I'm just using an ibuprofen, but this is about the size of the phenobarbital tablet that Ruby takes. So if I go in and I take this little chunk of chicken and I'm gonna cut a slit, if you can see, I just cut a little slit, wiggle it around a little bit so it opens up, and then I can take that tablet and I can slip it right in there, and I usually kind of smush it to close it up then. Sometimes if I feel like I want to do a little extra and make sure that she doesn't sense that there's a pill in there, or if you have a dog that is very, very savvy and is going to eat around that pill, it's going to know that that pill is in there. What you can do is try to mask it then by, number one, once you've touched the pill and you put it in, make sure you wash your hands because you don't want any of the medication smell getting to the actual chicken, getting on the food. Luckily, Ruby is very motivated to eat this piece of chicken, so she's not gonna care. But one other little added thing you could do is take a tiny little slice of that chicken and put it right over the top of it, almost like to mask it. So then they just feel like they're getting this piece of chicken. And so I usually do serve it to her. That sounds funny because she's a dog. It does look like a little appetizer, but there are pill treats that I make that are very similar to the ones that you can buy in the store, but the ones that I make are homemade and all natural and healthier. And I am gonna show those in future videos because I wanna share those as well. Those are easy to just hand to your dog and they can just take them. I have realized though that whenever I'm using meat for Ruby, I tend to put it on a plate for her and then I just put it on the ground and she eats it right off of the plate. It just seems easier for how she takes it. Another little option, how I showed you with putting the little added piece of meat over the top to kind of camouflage the the pill would be, so Ruby has some wet food that I mix in with her kibble. I can also take that wet food and just kind of put it over the top of it. So it just makes it this really extra yummy treat for her that she would gobble that down without even knowing that there's anything inside. So that's for the smaller tablet. So I also want to show you what I do if I'm doing a bigger tablet. So right now she is taking a probiotic that is a bigger capsule. So as you can see, that's definitely bigger than the tablet that she takes for her phenobarbital. So what I do for this is I do this, oops, sorry about that. I do the same idea where I will then just I make sure I cut a nice big chunk of that chicken, and then I'll take it, lay it flat, and then I'm gonna cut a big enough slit that the whole capsule easily is gonna fit inside. And I wanna make sure that that capsule is that I'm not smushing it and it's not gonna open up in this piece. So I really take my time to cut a nice slit here and kind of open it up. So I know that this capsule is gonna totally fit. Again, these are expensive, so I don't wanna waste them, but it's the same concept. I push the capsule in far enough in that you can't even see it. And then I'll use the same idea where then I'll kind of smush it. I'll put a little bit of piece over the top of it just to kind of camouflage it a little bit. Or again, I'll take a little bit of her food and just put it over the top, a little bit of wet food. You could use a little swipe of peanut butter, a little chunk of cheese, a little dollop of their wet food, whatever you have on hand that you know that they're just gonna snarf down and that they're not even gonna question what's in there. So again, that probiotic capsule in the chicken would go on a plate, and then I just put it on the floor and she snarfs it down. So all in all, that's how I use chicken. Chicken is one of the food items that I use frequently for her. Especially, she went through a really difficult bout of diarrhea for a good period of time. And so at that point, I stopped any of the other types of options that I was using for her. And we just went to chicken just to keep her diet very bland, very same, and allow her intestines just to kind of heal. So, but this is one of the popular ones. She has never refused it. She loves it. So I wanted to share this with you. I'm going to continue to share the different ideas that I use with her. And as I continue to figure things out, I'll share those ideas as well. And if you have ideas that you use with your pup who has to take medication, either if it's every once in a while or if it's daily, and we have dogs that take medication multiple times a day. If you want to share those ideas below, that would be wonderful too. I just really want to build this community of people who can help each other, because I know for me, having a dog with epilepsy, it has been a journey, and I have many times felt very alone in it. So I want to share with you everything that I've learned as I've learned with Ruby. So thank you. Bye.